guys, my name is Katrina Toucke, and this is Conquer MS, where life begins with a redesign. I was diagnosed with MS in 2011, and it's been quite the journey. I am very passionate about helping others. I went back to school, and I'm actually an integrated health and lifestyle coach. So this is why I share a lot of recipes, a lot of lifestyle tips. Everything's about the gut microbiome or gut health. Did you know that 70 to 80% of your immune system is in your gut? So that's kind of why this is my passion. And today I'm going to show you how to make kombucha. I wonder if anyone's ever noticed what looked like body parts or brains or some weird stuff up on my shelf. They've been sitting there. These are my Scobies. We're going to make some kombucha today, but I'm also going to share some other tips that I do when I get a common cold. Follow along with me and let's get into it. The first thing is, number one, if you are feeling like you're coming down with something, sleep, rest, listen to your body, listen to your gut. Your body is so smart and it tells you exactly what it needs, but somehow our brains kind of get in the way and it's like, well, we have to do this and we have to do that, and I want to go hiking and I want to take the dogs for a walk, and oh my gosh, and then before I know it, I've dropped my immune system and I'm really sick. Number two is hydrate. I'm a water challenged drinker. I keep filled with, in the winter, hot tea, and I've been drinking herbal tea. I started realizing I was having gut issues, so I'm in the process of eliminating things out of my diet. Anything that I've done consistently and a lot of, I am eliminating because I think it's bothering me. After I was on antibiotics in January, I've just been struggling trying to get my gut health back to where it was prior to January. And so one of the things that I've dropped out is coffee. So I am doing herbal green tea. I am drinking black tea if I need that extra boost. If your body is healthy and functioning, you shouldn't really need that jolt. And so my goal right now is to switch over and drink herbal tea and drink lots of it and hydrate, because I really haven't been hydrating like I should. I also use my Berkey water filter because filtered water is really important. You don't want the chlorine and the additives that they add to regular municipal water. A lot of that can actually damage your gut. So that is tip number two. So tip number three, take your vitamins, vitamin C, vitamin D. I am huge, obviously, with gut health is taking probiotics, and take it once or twice a day. It's really important to, again, keep your gut with happy bacteria so that it can fight off any viruses that may come your way. So vitamin D, vitamin C, zinc, magnesium is huge, because when your gut microbiome is not healthy, you're not making magnesium. B12 is also very huge when you have something like MS. We're all really kind of tired. Fatigue is huge. And so B12 actually has really helped me. When I had my relapse in 2011, I called it the wiggles because I didn't want to call them tremors, but I was shaking and rocking and my hands were twitching, and then you turn on the music and everything just broke loose. It was weird. And if you're new to MS, if you have any questions, by all means reach out to me. I can tell you honestly and authentically kind of what I went through, and hopefully I can help you not go through the same thing. Magnesium, B12, all that is made naturally in your body. The only problem is when we've destroyed it by eating processed food and sugar, then we have to reestablish the good bacteria. So that's number three, take your vitamins. Definitely talk to your doctor before you start a new routine. Check with the doctor. I consistently am told that my B12 and magnesium are high, but I feel the best when they're high. D, you definitely want to get tested because optimal levels are somewhere between 60 to 80. You don't want to be up in the 100. And when I got diagnosed, I was actually at 30. So that was really bad. So you want to make sure that you get your blood drawn and you know your accurate levels so that you can go from there. And do work with your doctor. But vitamins are huge. If your gut's not healthy, you're not making the vitamins and you need to supplement. But you also need to have a good supplement and not just buy something at a box store that has a lot of fillers. So that was number 3. Number 4, stay away from sugar, processed food, gluten-free food. If it's not whole food, when you're not feeling well, don't eat it. I'm not saying that's forever, but for me, it kind of is, because that's how I stay healthy. I really try to stay away from any processed sugar. I will eat fruits occasionally, but they're not a large part of my diet. Mostly what I eat are vegetables and protein. It could be animal protein or it could be vegetable protein. And like I said, I'm going through the process of doing some elimination. So I'm looking at my diet, trying to figure out, am I reacting to this or that? And what's reacting? Well, I've gained a lot of weight and I'm really bloated. So I'm working on that. So tip number 4, stay away from the processed sugar, the gluten-free, the dairy, the wheat. It all has sugar in it. Try to stay with foods that look just like this. It's a whole food. It's in its natural state, and this is what you want to eat. Tip number 5. Okay, so you come home, you're not feeling well, you're resting, you're taking your vitamins, you climb into bed, and one of the things that has been actually proven is chicken soup. It's super easy. Just get a chicken, and I have an InstantPOT. I love InstantPOT. I live in a tiny house. This is my tiny house kitchen. So I don't have a lot of room for appliances. The InstantPOT, I know this is sound like a commercial, but it's been amazing. I come home, I'm sick. I always have a chicken in the freezer, or I try to, and I defrost it. Then with the InstantPOT, it's super easy. You throw it in the pot, saute it on both sides. I usually put olive oil on the outside, salt and pepper, put it in the InstantPOT, saute both sides to brown it. You can add garlic and onions. My partner actually doesn't really like garlic and onions, so I cook them on the side in case he's gonna eat the soup. Saute that, throw the chicken in there, and then turn it on to the soup, and I set it for 30 minutes. Put the InstantPOT out on my porch because in a tiny house, condensation does not work. I bring it back in, chop up carrots and celery, throw that in for another 10 minutes, and boom, you have chicken soup. I can throw it into the freezer, and when I'm not feeling well, my partner's not really into cooking, I can just take it out of the freezer, stick it in the InstantPOT. Again, super easy. Melt it a little bit with hot water, stick the frozen into the InstantPOT, hit it on heat, go back, take a nap, come back down, and you have hot soup. Hot soup is so good. There's antibacterial properties in the garlic, and that will help you recover from your cold. You can also take a nap. You don't have to watch the soup, and that's a super way to eat really good food that is going to heal your body and not destroy your gut bacteria, which is going to help your immune system. So tip 6, after you make your chicken soup, you take all the chicken off and you put that into your soup and you put it in the freezer. Well, now you have all the bones. You have the carcass left. You know what you could do with that? Stick it back in the InstantPOT, fill it up with water, add a little bit of the apple cider vinegar, and I use the apple cider vinegar that has the mother in it, and I will post all these recipes down below, so definitely check out the description. But with making chicken soup, now I can fill it up. I hit the slow cook and I let it cook for 12 hours while I'm sleeping. And basically, once you put the apple cider vinegar in there, what that's doing is pulling the collagen out of the bones. And then at the end, when you wake up in the morning, hopefully you're feeling a little bit better. Take all the bones out. You can strain the bones so that you're not having the bones. And then again, put it into a mason jar or a Pyrex dish. I don't recommend plastic. That can go into your refrigerator, and again, that helps you hydrate. So that was tip number 6. Let's do 7. I can count. 7 is eucalyptus. I love diffusing the eucalyptus. I have a diffuser right up there on the beam. Unfortunately, not everyone likes essential oils. And I've recently been told if you really do not like essential oils, chances are you're eating a lot of processed food. I thought that was really interesting because I love essential oils. I've always diffused them. So the eucalyptus really does help clear out your head. And speaking of your head, you get sinus issues. Have you ever noticed your eyes get really puffy here? A lot of that is just congestion. I love my nutty pot. Basically what I do is I heat up some filtered water out of my Berkey, and I heat it up so you can test it on your wrist like you would for a baby. If you've been following along, you've realized that I take salt and then a lot of times I will grind it in the coffee grinder. So it's really fine. So I just take some warm water, put that in my nutty pot, add some good salt in there, stir it around, and then what you're doing is just irrigating one side of your nose. So basically the water's going up and coming back down. So by doing that, you're flushing out all the germs and the bad bacteria, all the nasties. It's all coming out. If you are ever in a situation, last year we had a lot of smoke because of the fires. I was using the nutty pot a lot because it was really helping me kind of clean out my sinuses so that I didn't get an infection, but it also helps with breathing. And the good thing is it also helps so you don't have baggy, puffy eyes. I like that one. Number 9. As you start feeling better, to get out, I like to hike, I like to move, I like to walk my dogs. And as soon as I start feeling better, I'm out the door. I want to take a walk with my dogs and get the fresh air. But a lot of times what happens is I push a little too hard. So I am told again and again by people that love me that I need to take it slower. So yesterday I was very proud of myself. I got in the truck, my Jeep, and let in my dogs, and we just drove around and we got some fresh air, and I got to see the beauty of the mountains of where I live. I felt better because I was outside of my tiny house. My tiny house gets really small sometimes. I do love her, tootling tranquility, but sometimes I need to get outside. So we got out and we saw some amazing views, and then we just did a little walk around, came back in, I fed them, and everyone was happy. But I felt like I got out, and I think that really is so good for my soul. So that is my recommendation. When you start feeling better, make sure you're ready, but get out. Even if it's a car ride, just get out and see something beautiful to inspire you to feel even more better. Even more better? To feel even better. To feel even better. That's it. So number 10. Being in bed, whether you have COVID, you're just sick, you're not moving around, your body starts tightening up. One thing with COVID I realized just recently, and like I said, this has been a long journey for me. I'm one of those long haulers, unfortunately. I realized how tight my chest was, and so I've started doing yoga. And I did yoga back in 2015. I started. I would do downward facing dog. I would fall over. I was constantly falling over, losing my balance. It's a challenge sometimes when we don't have balance, but What ultimately happened was I gained more balance and I gained strength, and I felt like I was less likely to hurt myself because I wasn't so tense and tight. I have been committing to doing yoga every morning for 20 minutes. It's something, you know, I'm stretching my body and I'm feeling better. So those are my 10 tips. If you are still with me, I'm gonna make some kombucha and I'm gonna show you what I did last night. Okay, so we're gonna start doing kombucha now. So part of making kombucha is I use filtered water. Chlorine is basically bad for your gut. So I'd much rather drink filtered water. So I start with 3 quarts of filtered water and I boil that on the stove. And then I add 8 tea bags of black organic tea. And you could do 8 tea bags, or I also use loose leaf tea, and it's about a 1/4 cup. And so I add that to the boiling water, let that steep. If you use loose tea, then you are gonna have to strain it. Basically, I just pour the water into a big bowl, strain all the tea leaves out after it's steeped for about 5 to 10 minutes. You don't want to do it too long because then it'll get bitter, but I actually like the bitter flavor. So do it to your taste. So you're steeping the tea, and once that's done, then basically you want to strain it and get rid of all the tea leaves, or take out your tea bags. And you can actually compost these, so that's a good thing to do. And then you take, there's my sugar. Sugar, where's my sugar? So then you take 1 cup of sugar and dissolve it into your hot tea. Because this is raw sugar, you don't want to do it when it's boiling hot. You want to do it, let it get down to a little bit warmer than room temperature. And what I do, again, because I live in a tiny house and it's cold out, I just take it and I cover it and I put it on my front porch, do my dishes, and come back and add the 1 cup of sugar. I stir that around and get the sugar all dissolved. And then basically you are ready for your Scoby. You have the mother Scoby and then you have the little babies. And because I keep my house cold due to Utah syndrome, I'm more comfortable when it's 60 degrees. So these guys like room temperature. To me, that's 60 degrees, but I think the Scobies would prefer somewhere around 70. So I actually have a heater that is for growing baby plants, and I got it at Home Depot. I tried it for the sauerkraut and I felt like it got a little bit too warm, so I put a towel down and then I put the sauerkraut to ferment on top of that. So I'm actually doing the same procedure with the Scobies and making kombucha. So let's get started. I have my brewed tea with my sugar, so it's my sweetened black tea with 1 cup of sugar in tea. Because you are working with good bacteria and, you know, Scobies have bacteria, I don't think it's a bad thing. Make sure your hands are washed if you're going to touch them with your hands. I do everything with food with my hands just because I like the connection of my food. And it's healthy and it makes me feel good. So I don't really want to use barricades. I don't want to use spoons, or, you know, if I don't have to. This is what a Scoby looks like. You have the different layers. This one is actually older, and then these are the babies. So I'm going to stick that in there. The 3 quarts of water are actually 2 of these. So they're 2 6 cups. Okay, so I just use 2 of the big bottles, stick that in there. And then every time you make kombucha, you always end up with new babies on the Scoby, and then you always want to save some of your tea from your kombucha batch. And this is going to be the starter tea. This is pre-sweetened kombucha that I made, unfortunately, I want to say like a year ago. These guys have been doing really well, and I have all my Scoby hotels up on the shelf back there. And I just check them, make sure that they have enough liquid and they're doing okay. But if you ever see mold growing on them, obviously they're not good. But if you keep the tea covering the scobies, they're fine. This is actually adding to the scobies. It's like a starter. It helps the scobies get going. And so now this is their new home. And what I'm going to do is add a new batch of the black tea that has the sugar in it. You want to make sure that your tea is lukewarm. Scobies do not want to boil. Again, they're living, so you don't want to kill them. Every time I pass on scobies to a friend, I always make them promise they will take care of the scobies because they are living and you don't want to kill the mother or the babies. We're going to top this off a little bit. I want to leave enough room so when it starts fermenting and bubbling, it's going to be okay. So I actually have a little bit of tea left. Recently, I went back to my favorite kitchen store in Montrose and I was super excited. I normally use cheesecloth and put the cheesecloth over top and then put a rubber band over them. But I found these and I really like the idea because they just lay on top, super easy. Crank it down. You want the air to go into your kombucha because you want it to start fermenting. You don't, like sauerkraut could easily explode. Kombucha is a little bit different. It basically needs the air to start fermenting and you'll start seeing bubbles that will appear and you'll start seeing your scobies multiply. So you're going to start having babies. And this takes about 5 days. And then after 5 days, I will come back and the next time I promise I will show you the second step, which is second fermentation. And you can drink it after 5 days. It's really good for your gut. You take out the SCOBY and you can strain it, or the SCOBY's not going to hurt you obviously if you drink it. It's good for your gut bacteria. It kind of repopulates everything and it's really good for your health. Even though it's got a lot of sugar in it, the SCOBY is actually eating the sugar up. So by the time you start drinking your kombucha, it's not high in sugar anymore. And I know I said no sugar, but this is different. This is good for your gut after it ferments. So in about 5 days, I'm gonna put it on my heater back in the corner and I will show you some pictures of what's going on back in this corner. And I will come back and I will show you how to do the second fermentation. That I simply do by taking some of the kombucha, putting it in these bottles that have the nice topper. And I don't drink beer, but my partner does. And I like the topper because you can clamp it down. And normally, okay, yes, I clamped it. You can clamp it down and makes a nice tight seal. And then I usually put some type of berries in there, and I'm thinking about either doing ginger or lemon or maybe honey with these. And the sugar actually helps it to ferment and make it fizzy. So that's why sometimes when you get kombucha, it's all bubbly and fizzy and it's like a soda pop. So that is going to be the next episode. I promise if I'm not doing it live, I will tape it so that I can show you what it looks like. And again, I will link all the recipes down below. My name is Katrina Toucke, and once again, I'm a integrated health and lifestyle coach. I hope that I bring you really good recipes and great content, not only just on kitchen recipes, but recipes for your life. And Conquer MS is where life begins with a redesign. Thanks for joining me and stay strong. I love you guys and peace out. Boom.